Raakaunui Marae. Te Mania is on the west coast of Kawhia. It's 30 km from Kawhia Township on the inner edges of the Kawhia Harbour and to the west of Te Wamutu. Of the Waikato Tainui Tribal Confederation, Ngāti Ngutu and Ngāti Poretikawa has a strong connection to Ngāti Maniapoto. The marae was established by Poukai in 1809. He met with King Tawhia based upon a saying by him. He committed his hapu under the kingitanga of these words. Tuku whenua marae, ara tangata ki raro i te kingitanga. Whakatuingia koutou i ngā kaupapa hei tuitui i a koutou, hei kawe i ngā tikanga o te kingitanga. Poukai, who is John Poukai's tupuna, set about establishing Te Mania, which is now known as Raakaunui. The whare tupuna or ancestral house is named Te Mania Tuatahi, 1809. Moana kaha kore and the dining room is named Rakaunui Tuatahi. The first building on the land was the kauta. Established in 1910 and hosted on the 11th of March each year, it is the part of the Poukai round. Its history, as told by Kaumātua, is related to the king tide of the west coast. King Tawhia was initiated with the skills of warriorhood at Te Mania. Further to the history of Te Mania of Raakaunui is their tupuna, Rānui Maupakanga. His relationship to the story is that he restored Te Winika, the carved waka that was created in a partnership between Ngāti Tipa, Mahanga and Hauraki. Circa 1845, Auckland was being threatened by Ngāpuhi with a looming invasion. Inside, Governor George Grey called upon the support of King Tawhia, at that time our Ariki Paramount Chief Tawhia. With Taura warriors inside and Te Winika, Tawhia's presence in the region, the invasion did not occur. Remnants of Waikato's presence in Auckland is defined by the walls of rockery, a boundary which lines the Auckland University grounds. The carved war canoe Te Winika has a long-standing history with Raakaunui. Te Pueherangi, granddaughter of King Tawhia, had heard of Te Winika's hull, buried in the mud flats at Kutataka, Port Waikato. The hull had been buried in the mud to avoid it from being destroyed by Gustav von Chemsky, better known as Canoe Destroyer, whose purpose was to destroy all floating vessels on the river. The century-age-old hull was being used by local horsemen as a jumping rail. Te Pue directed that the hull be uplifted and taken to Tūrangawaewae, Marua Wahia. Circa 1930 to 1934, what had happened was that when the hull was uplifted and laid in preparation to be restored at Tūrangawaewae, Te Pue had heard of Rānui Maupakanga of Te Mania, better known now as Raakaunui. It was there that his expertise as tohunga tārai waka was called upon. Rānui Maupakanga tohunga tārai waka, he was all of the age of 90. Tupuna of Te Mania, in tandem with his apprentices, Rōpata Wirihana and Rāwiri Kamainu Paul, worked on restoring the hull and fashioning the underside with new homie. Completing the waka with a carved bow, stones and strikes, that is said to be that Piri Potapu was the designer of those, and during his time is that he lent his skills and master craftsmanship to Te Winika. All the timber for the restoration of this waka was in from the Raakaunui forest. Te Winika's first official assignment was as the funeral cortege of King Mahuta. In an invite by Te Puea to the government official Governor-General Lord Galway and Lady Galway, they were transported on Te Winika from across the Awa Waikato at Ngaruawahi at Turangawawe to the opening of Turongo, and thereafter the conferment of the award Commander of the British Empire to Te Puea Hirangi for his services to Māori. Rānui Maupaka and his team had restored Te Winika to her finest glory and maintained the care of Te Winika until his passing. The responsibility of care passed over to his apprentices, Rōpata Wirihana and Rawiri Tamainipo, from 1940 to 1955. Mātinga Matt, father of Raakaunui, shared with the author, "That's me, that trees from the Waingaro forest were used to replace parts of the waka that had deteriorated, rotted away." By 1955, Piri Potapu of Ngāti Koraki Kahukura, who at the instructions of Te Puea Hirangi studied and mastered the art of carving, returned to Turangawawa. He established a carving school and undertook the ongoing maintenance and restoration of Te Winika. The restoration of the waka were at many times brutal. And it's very important to understand that this method was used to keep Te Winika afloat. Hot tar was poured into the whole cement metal tin to keep afloat, as I said. With Te Winika's body becoming very fragile, her last word on Waikato was superseded by the Māori Queen, allowing the waka to feature in the 1973 Waitemata Regatta Festival. By September of 1973, Te Winika would take her last and final voyage on her beloved Awa Waikato. She was then gifted by the Māori Queen, Te Arikinui, Te Atairangi Kahu, to the city of Hamilton. Te Winika's full restoration in 1987 to 1989, a full restoration of Te Winika was undertaken, chosen and endorsed by Te Arikinui. The process was overseen by myself, Mamai Tākere. I supervised and trained a team of rangatahi, whose whakapapa their genealogy was as a direct uri of Te Winika. The waka was disassembled with 119 parts. Te Winika was stripped and cleaned of layers of bleach, then finally repainted with natural ochre. Every part of that waka was cleaned by the loving hands of Te Winika's mohopuna. They came from Waingaro, they came from Mōtokotoko, they came from Wāhipa, and with myself representing Aunty Chipa and Mahanga and Hauraki alike. With my team, we endeavoured to take every part that did not belong to that waka out of it. The cement, the concrete, the tar, the iron was all stripped from Te Winika. By the time in 1989, when the restoration was complete, 99.9% of that waka had been returned to its original state, wood. It was dressed with regards to the feathers on Te Winika. That was three manu, and we say that was accidentally killed out in the ocean, is that those manu, the feathers were stripped, and they were placed on Te Winika. For the karuatua, the feathers itself, Taura, they were dressed by my team, clean dressed. Likewise, along the streaks of the waka, they adorn the beautiful feathers of the Taura, adorn Te Winika. Sadly to say that many years later, Te Winika, its stern was damaged by people who were not restorers. They were canoe maintenance men. It was sad. However, coming back to today, Te Winika now adorns the Waikato Museum in all her glory. It's supposed to say that, and I will say it again, those young people who restored Te Winika in 1987, in 1989, their due credit must be given to them. Ripeka Pompey, o Ngāti Tamainupo, a Ngā Tokotoru. She's passed away. Kelvin Maru of Ngāti Patupo, Mō Tako Marae, Wiri Haunui, o Waingaro Marae, Te Mokopuna of Mātenga Matt, daughter of Hera Haunui and John Haunui. Rautau Haunui of Ngāti Mahuta, Wahipa. Ripeka and her sister Hinamoa, both Ngāuri o Rangawhenua and Tere Moana. That's the team that restored Te Winika, right down to her beauty. Just 6 of us, 2 years. And why was a woman at the helm of this project? Te Ariki Nui had made the choice. She had decided that I would lead it. Not only because of my whakapapa, but because of the skills I have. And suffice to say that the men in the canoe maintenance, I trained them for the 1990 Festival of Waka up at Waitangi. Trained them how to restore waka. That story must be told so that we correct the history of who and how Te Winika was restored. And I pay tribute to Rānui Marae because it's through him, the tūpuna of Rakaunui Koutou, and it was through him that Te Winika now stands in her gracious and supreme glory in the Waikato Museum here in Hamilton. When we think about that, we think about the importance of history and acknowledge that these kaumātua, that Rānui Marae, he restored a treasure. Today it's the icon, it's the jewel in the crown of all Taura in the Museum of Waikato. Raakaunui Marae, Uri, can be proud of its tūpuna, for he has left a legacy that his Uri can be proud of. The whare tūpuna is named Moana Kahakore. The marae connects ancestrally to the Tainui waka, the Moana Kawhia and the Maunga Pirongia and Hikurangi. King Tāpio held many kingitanga hui at Hikurangi there at Te Maniam, which is the original name of the area. It was there that, at Hikurangi, that the king made the statement, E kore whati te here te Ngāti Pura. Our ties, whakapapa, to Ngāti Pura will never be severed.